Hey guys, it's Scarlett here. So today I'm doing a walkthrough of the Eros deck for you. And I have a much longer review of this deck. Oops, Lily came to join me. Much longer review of this deck in a blog post that I will link at the bottom in the description. And so you can read more about my thoughts on kind of the deck and its uses. But for this video, I thought I would do just kind of a walkthrough, showing you the different images, what it looks like. And I should give you a warning for this walkthrough before I begin, because these images, this is the Eros deck, so it is about love and sex, and the images are explicit. I mean, they're explicit in a humorous sense, but forewarning, so if that's not your thing, best look away now because you're gonna see some really interesting artwork here. So let's get started. Okay, so this is the Eros deck here, and it comes in a little white pouch with a design stamped on the front here. Here you can see a sword and a peach, so you get a little idea of that kind of sexual imagery within this deck. And this deck is from the company Uusi, so I will link their website in the description below. And they also put one of their other decks in a bag with a similar design, with the Pagan Otherworlds deck, which is kind of my go-to deck that I use for my client readings. But this one here has a different design, and it also has a nice box here. So the box comes, this is the main design here, and the box comes with an kind of like a sticker seal that you have to break, as well as a design inside the top there. And the backings, let me just pull out all the cards here. And the backings of these cards, you can see, it's kind of an abstract design, but I think they're basically boobs of some kind or something like that is what they're referencing. And the deck really begins with some cards that are unique to this particular company. So this company includes what's called a seeker card as an additional card, and here they have Eros, the Garden of Love. And then they include moon phase cards. So you have the new moon and the half moon. And one of the interesting things about some of these moon cards is you can flip them around to get a different expression. So happy and kind of, I guess that's not necessarily grumpy, but content or so. This one, happy and stern or angry. So that's kind of cool about these moon cards here. And before we go into the major arcana here, I'll show you a comparison just so you can see from another one of their decks where they do this. So this is the Pagan Otherworlds deck. So again, a similar box, different design, and they also include a seeker and moon phase cards. So this is the seeker in the Pagan Otherworlds deck. And then here are the moon phase cards, which are just black and gold. So a bit different than the Eros deck, but still kind of that same theme going on with these additional cards. So moving in to the major arcana here, so let me show you and get ready for some humor is what I'm gonna say. So we start out with the Fool here. So you can see in the design it's kind of a Marseille style deck with those kind of primary colors. And here you can see how they incorporate that kind of sexual jokes, euphemisms, innuendos, and how they do it kind of very humorously here with his kind of large behind. Moving into the Magician, very funny here. So he's got his wand, he's smoking a cigarette, and has quite an unusual table full of various objects. Moving into the Popess. So instead of the High Priestess, they're calling it the Popess, who's looking at a very interesting scroll there. The Empress and the Emperor. Sometimes the sexual references are kind of jokes, like the rooster or cock on the shield. You can see how they look together. Oh, sorry, my cat's crying in the background. He's ready for some lunch. So here we have the Pope figure. And the longer you look at these cards too, you catch additional erotic references as well. Some are kind of hidden, some stand straight out at you. Here's the Lovers. And we have the Chariot. Strength, and this Strength I think is very beautiful. I love this interpretation of Strength. The Hermit, kind of graphic right there with his walking stick, and the Wheel of Fortune here. So really the longer you look at these images, the more you see. There's all these little hidden references. Here you have Justice hiding behind a veil here with her bra as the scales. The Hanged Man and Death, very interesting here. And you have Temperance. I think this is hilarious. So a drunk Temperance, and the sun is looking at her like, oh no, what's going on here? The Devil, so very graphic here, interpretation of the devil, but I just love these colors that are depicted in this card. I think it's a really great interpretation of the devil. The Tower, we have some Lannister lovemaking going on up in that tower there. And then we have a very beautiful star here. I think it's very beautiful. The Moon. We have our three animals represented there. The Sun with a unicorn. Judgment, very kind of a different design here. And the World, another very beautiful card, I think, ending the major arcana. So then we move into the minors, and the minors are in the kind of pip style in the sense that they are kind of just repeated images of the suit as opposed to individual scenes. And some of them actually have kind of writing on them, which I think is a bit unusual. I'm not the biggest fan of how they write 2017 on here and how they kind of incorporate the name of the deck again within the Swords card. But you can see here the swords here, so that's just kind of, as I mentioned, the same sword details but repeated for these suit cards. Here you can see obviously the sexual references within those swords. It just goes on and on and on. And then we move into the court cards for the swords. So we have some very funny characters. The court cards in this deck I find are hilarious. So you have the Page, the Knight, he's holding that peach there, the Queen, and the King. We have the Wands, so again in that style of repeated symbols here. And we move into these court cards. So we have our Page, we have our Knight, we have our Queen, and we have our King. Our Cups, and these ones are really beautiful, I think, actually, these designs. Here again they write the playing card company that printed or manufactured these cards, so I don't really like how they incorporated that on a actual card within the deck. I'd rather they would have done it in one of their like extra cards. But anyway, so we have the 3, 4, 5, 6, very beautiful. I love the vines. 7, okay, so we have our cups and our court cards. This page of cups I think is just hilarious. Our Knight of Cups. They all look like they're a little bit drunk in this one. Queen of Cups. And our King of Cups. Our last suit here of Pentacles. So again, a really beautiful design, and they incorporate some kind of animals and snake imagery in here too within this suit. So while these are in the pip style, they're very detailed and they sneak in kind of little clues and little images there that kind of jazz it up a bit. So you can see that snake in the apple, reference to the Adam and Eve story, again, two snakes intertwining. So I think kind of the way they did that was very creative. And here we have our last set of court cards with the page, the knight, the queen, and finally our last king, the king of coins. They refer to the pentacles as coins within this deck. So that is a quick run through of the cards within the deck. And one last thing I'll show you guys is, you know how tarot decks usually come with like a little white book that tell you about the deck, give you a little information. So instead of doing that, their companion book is actually a adult coloring book. So a very different creative approach. And it says, Naughty Notes from Eros, the Garden of Love, an adult coloring book. So I'll show you just kind of some of the designs here. So you have like a page you can color, and then they have naughty little limericks here as well. So you can read these and color it if you want. So it's kind of a very fun, creative interpretation of this deck. So again, very unique, very much a collector's deck. And for those of you who are into unique decks collecting, really creative decks, this is definitely going to be one for you. Again, I'll link my review of this deck in the description down below, so definitely check that review out if you'd like to know my opinions on this deck. And yeah, so tell me in the comments, what did you think of these images? Did you find them shocking, funny, too inappropriate, not inappropriate enough? What do you think of the style of the artwork? And yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your opinions, because this is one of those rare decks that you come across and you're just like, wow, they really did their own thing. They went all the way with it. And I'd love to hear what you guys think too. So I'm signing off for now, but I will talk to y'all later. Bye.